Do I believe I'm the best player in the world? No. I think the best player in the world is the person that is the last one standing. Is the person that takes his team to the finish line, and helps them win the game. Win games and become champion. 2 years ago when we did that, yeah, when I was sleeping in my bed, I was like, yeah, maybe I'm the best player in the world. But now, no. In my opinion, the way I view it, the winner is the best.
The NBA used to be so simple. We used to have a definitive best player in the world, and even if everyone didn't agree on one specific player, it was normally a debate between two players. In the 90s, Michael Jordan, obviously. Early 2000s, Shaq and Tim Duncan. Mid 2000s, Kobe and a young LeBron. 2010s, LeBron for most of it. Steph had an argument, and so did Kevin Durant. This is how the NBA used to look, and with that, MVPs, in my opinion, they were much easier to decide on. We are now living in a brand new NBA world, and the consistent NBA question is now impossible to definitively answer. Who is the real best player on the planet? Quick story. I was talking to my dad the other day. He's a big Jokic fan, and I was starting to question, is he a little bit overrated? I see the numbers, I see the advanced stats, the MVPs, but his team doesn't quite win how I would want him to. And he quickly reeled me back in and said, nah, his greatness is becoming boring, and routine greatness is typically overlooked in everything. This made me really dial in and watch every minute of 3 consecutive Nugget games. Christmas Day, he scores 41 points, in which his second half was better than like 60% of the league's best game this year. Follows it up with a near triple-double against Sacramento, and then a 40-piece against them where I didn't hear anybody talk about it. All this made me realize, damn, even I fell for the trap of this man being so routinely great that I stopped appreciating it. Nikola Jokic is the reigning back-to-back MVP, and unfortunately with that will come the voters' fatigue. But when you actually look at it, one could argue that he's having his best season this year. When you look at the league's leaders in true shooting percentage, most of the players near the top are some of the more less utilized weapons on their teams offensively. Nick Claxton, Rudy Gobert, Grant Williams, they're not the main guys. You don't normally see a player averaging 15 shots or more being that efficient. Just to show you how rare this really is, as I record this video, Jokic, with the attempts he has, is having the most efficient shooting season in the history of the sport. Also winning. Some people tried to say he didn't deserve that first MVP because he didn't win enough. Well, out of every player averaging at least 25 points or more, so basically his peers and the best player on the planet debate, he's third in winning percentage this year, only behind the 2 players on the best team in the NBA. But since we're talking about efficiency, what about Kevin Durant? This man is quietly, surgically, methodically, nightly having one of the greatest seasons ever in the history of the NBA. These are the most efficient seasons of any player averaging at least 30 points per game or more. And this is Kevin Durant this year. Just to give you a visual of how insanely efficient KD has been this year, this man is shooting 83% around the rim, 60% around the restricted area, another 60% from the mid-range, and 55% on long twos. Look at him and look at the league's averages. I know some people don't like him, but you're telling me this man isn't the best player on the planet? What? Well, maybe not, because we just witnessed arguably the greatest basketball game in modern NBA history. 60 points, 20 boards, and 10 dimes. You gotta even wipe your eyes because the numbers don't even look real. The only player in modern history to have a 60-20 game was 7-foot-ass Shaq, and Luka had 3 times the dimes. In 2017, we gave Russell Westbrook the MVP because he was the first player to average a triple-double since Oscar Robertson, a 30-point triple-double at that. If you add up points, assists, and rebounds, Russ was also the only modern player in history to average a value of 50 with all these main categories combined. Well, that was until Luka Doncic entered the chat. This season, with the main categories combined, he's averaging a 50, just like Russ did in his historic season. Also, with points generated per game, he is absolutely dominating the rest of the NBA. We have this technical definition debate every year. It never fails. But if we're talking about the true definition of most valuable player, nobody means more to their team than Luka. But what about Joel Embiid? Last year, he became the first center since Shaq to win a scoring title, and he did it averaging 30. Well, now he's averaging 3 more points a game, and he's more efficient in doing so. And if you want to know just how dominant Joel Embiid has been, specifically at the center position, Joel is averaging the most points a night since the merger. Even if you go back to the 1970s, where Kareem used to dominate and Bob McAdoo and them, he's still third. And if you look at him in comparison to the rest of these players, what stands out? Significantly less minutes. What about Giannis? Can we really say a 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, NBA champion is not the best player on the planet just because he lost last year to Boston without Chris Middleton? Can we do that? I don't really tweet a lot, but I see everything on Twitter. A lot of people has actually been down on Giannis this year because of his non-ability to shoot and with him being a little less efficient all around this year. Giannis isn't the best shooter, we know that. But you have to take into context, he played 22 games without his second best player, 5 games without Jrue Holiday, and he's one of the most double-teamed players in the league. Even though LeBron is a better shooter, I kind of compare it to the 2015 finals, where if you look at the numbers, you would say, damn, LeBron was inefficient. How did he actually play good? But if you watch the finals, he almost won finals MVP because he was the sole focus of Golden State's defense, just like Giannis is the sole focus of every defense he plays. And even with that being the case, and I will agree, he's definitely having a down shooting year. Sometimes it's a very hard watch. But even with that, he's still averaging damn near 32. His team is still near the top of the conference. And get this, with the attempts he still has the highest field goal percentage of any player since MVP Shaq. But what about Steph? I mean, he is the reigning finals MVP, and he's the only player averaging 30 points or more, shooting 40% from deep. Remember the Steph isn't a pure hooper narrative that went around Twitter like a year ago? Shit was hilariously stupid. Well, out of all his fellow 30-point per game scorers this year, he's averaging the least amount of free throws by far. Smallest player out of that mix, and he's the one getting the most buckets without a free throw line. And out of all the players in league history averaging 20 shots a game in a single season, right now, he's the second most efficient. You know who he's behind? He's behind himself. You know who's behind him in third? It's him again. He has the 3 most efficient seasons of any player shooting 20 shots a night. How the hell was this man never a pure hooper? And what about the best player on the best team in the league right now, Jason Tatum? He's averaging 30 points a night, one of the youngest to do that in the 2000s. He also has the highest win percentage in the league. He's also one of the best two-way players in the league. And there was a question mark about how he performs in big games. Well, this year, in most of them, he's been pretty remarkable. On Christmas Day against Milwaukee, fighting for the first seed, 41 against Giannis, against Miami, 49, against the Lakers in a close game, 44 and closed the game. Opening night against Philly, 35, against Memphis, 39. Some of his best games this year has been on the biggest stages. The only team to me that seems like they really have his number is Golden State. I'll admit that. The NBA at this point has a ridiculous pool of talent, and in my opinion, there's no one single player that you could definitively say is the best player on the planet anymore. It's all about preference and what you truly value. If you guys like this video, like the video. If you made it this far, comment who you think is the best player. Maybe you disagree because this player is doing such and such and you have your own values and whatever. To me, I can't tell you anymore. I just gotta appreciate everyone. Make sure you guys have a safe New Year's, man. Thank you for all the support I got this year and so on, man. Next year is gonna be even bigger, better. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that great stuff, guys. Until next time, as always, stay tuned.